Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 7. Hard to believe, I know. And you know what? October is a long month, so the best thing I can tell you is just to get ready. It's a long month for teachers, it's a long month for students. There are no breaks. And so just be aware of that. Be mindful of kind of where you're at this month, and have some grace with yourself and some flexibility. Um, Okay, before I go into the modules for this week, I need to give you a couple of announcements. Um, the first is that I know that there was an issue with the discussion board closing early last night. I have opened it through midnight, well, 11:59 p.m. today. So if you did not get an opportunity to post your reply, if by the time you tried to get in there, it was already locked, you can go ahead and do that today without any kind of penalty. The second thing that I need to remind you is that your essay from last week, essay number 1, was due in 2 places. It was due in by uploading your Google Doc link, and in Turnitin. There were 2 assignments, and you needed to put it in both. About half of you have not turned it into Turnitin.com. That is a requirement. I opened up that assignment again today. I'm going to put it on your to-do list as a reminder. I will not grade your essay until it is in both places. So please go ahead and do that if you have not already. The last thing before I hop into the modules is that I'm slowly working my way through the essays. I should have them back to you, I'm hoping, by early next week. But if you go into your essay and you see a bunch of comments there, don't do anything yet, because you don't yet know what your feedback is. You're going to get your feedback in 2 different places. The annotations actually on your essay and in the Canvas comments box. But that assignment will not be unlocked until I'm done grading all the essays. So don't do anything yet. You're going to see things on your essay that you don't understand. You're going to see numbers, and you might want to go ahead and resolve some of those issues. Please don't. Just wait. In fact, better yet, don't even open up your essay until after I have kind of announced that I'm done, and that way you can go in and see your feedback, whether it's high pass, passing, not yet passing, incomplete. You can look at your annotations, figure out what the numbers are all about. So just kind of hang tight until I'm done with the essays. Okay. With that said, let's go ahead and hop into this week's module. And we are starting essay number 2 this week. Now, I know you just turned in essay number 1, but don't panic. Remember, my philosophy is I want to be very transparent with where we're going in the essay in general. So I want you to know up front what the prompt is. This essay is not due until the first week of November, so it's a month away. But I want you to know why you're reading what you're reading and kind of thinking about that. This week, it's not a whole lot of writing, obviously, because you just turned in your essay, but a lot of reading. Your second topic for the essay, your second essay topic, it's definitely a Monday, your second essay topic is about free speech, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. So you have 2 discussion boards, you have the writing territory, you have 2 extra credit opportunities due by the end of this week if you want. So your overall essay topic is kind of centered around this question of how free is free speech. Within that question, and over the course of this week and next week, we are going to explore hate speech, cancel culture, and social media. And so once we kind of come to the end of all of that kind of introductory information about each of those, you will then, for the essay, need to narrow your topic into one of those that you want to explore more about. Hate speech, cancel culture, or social media. You can't write on all 3 of them. So your task this week and next week is to really kind of, absorb the readings and really think about what they're saying about free speech as it relates to cancel culture, free speech as it relates to social media expression, free speech as it relates to hate speech. And think about, okay, well, which one do you really feel like you have a strong opinion about? Which one do you feel like you could develop an argument about? And that's basically what we're going to be working on over the course of the next 4 weeks as we move through these readings and really dive into that topic and kind of exploring how to build an argument. So I would encourage you, if you want to go ahead and read the essay handout. It will kind of provide an overview for you. Again, if you scroll to the second page, you'll see all of your due dates under the assignment snapshot, so you kind of get a sense of the timing and the pace of the essay. Again, it's not due until Wednesday, November 3rd, but I'm just giving you kind of advance notice of what this essay is going to be about. Okay. So in order to kind of foreground our thinking in free speech, we need to go back in time a little bit, and we need to kind of understand where that principle even came from. Why is it important to think about? And kind of where is our current understanding about free speech? Where has that been developed, right? And how has it changed over time? Because it absolutely has evolved. And so in order to even have this conversation now about what free speech is, we have to kind of look back at where we've been. And so these first few pages are designed to do that. This first kind of sets out the principles by John Stuart Mill about why free speech was even necessary in the first place. There is a secondary page that kind of unpacks a little bit of what he meant by the harm principle in free speech. And again, these are concepts that you may come back to depending on what subtopic you want to write about for your essay. So the second page is all about kind of the harm principle of free speech. And the third page here kind of unpacks a little bit of the limitations behind free speech and starts to think a little bit about how free speech is connected to hate speech, and what that relationship is, right? You think kind of like interlocking, like Legos almost, or Lincoln Logs, right? How are they connected, and where does that disconnect happen? And so that's the third reading for this week, or for this first discussion board post. And then the actual reading that comes from an external source here, the link is kind of builds off of Mill's position. So again, I'm kind of moving you through these four readings, the three readings, and then leading into this one to kind of think about, okay, so if we're going to build on this idea of free speech, what does that mean now for our understanding of hate speech, and what gets protected and what doesn't get protected? And so then you're going to kind of finish off with this reading before you start the first discussion board post. And so for the discussion board post, you need to have read all three of those previous pages, and then the one that I just moved forward from Nadine Strassam. And again, what you're doing here is you're responding now to this kind of imaginary scenario about free speech in a classroom, and what gets protected and what doesn't, and what happens, right? To kind of imagine what happens then. As always, you're asking a question of your classmates that they can then respond to. That's due on Tuesday, and then you'll see here's your reminder to post a reply due on Thursday. So that's your first grouping of readings, right? Kind of the background, John Stuart Mill, moving into hate speech. This second group of readings kind of really dives more into like hate speech and really what we mean when we say free speech, right? Do we really mean totally free speech, or do we mean free speech not totally? There's two readings here. One's called The Idolization of Free Speech in the United States, and the second one, Should Neo-Nazis Be Allowed Free Speech? So both of these are geared to kind of get you thinking about what really we are talking about when we're talking about free speech. They're not very long articles, and many students actually find them very provocative. The third is a video, actually, that kind of ties back into Mill and his principles about free speech, and then connects a little bit to the prior two readings about offensive speech. So you're going to watch this video. Like I said, this week is just a lot of content, not a lot of writing, just a lot of content. And the last reading in this group is an opinion piece about whether or not America needs a hate speech law, and kind of what that might mean, what that might look like. And then you have a discussion board around that grouping, right? So those two kind of articles, the neo-Nazi and about the idolization of free speech, the little video, and then that last one. And here's your discussion board post, right? And you're kind of considering this quote from Justice Hugo Black in 1972, and then something from the Stengel piece. Now, this discussion board can sometimes get a little heated because we all have very passionate feelings about our beliefs and our thoughts. So, as I kind of remind you, right, the goal here is to have respectful, honest, and open conversation, right? And to try to learn from each other and strengthen our own views and opinions. So as we are working through some of these more controversial issues, we need to agree to disagree, and we need to be able to respect everyone's opinions, even if they differ vastly from our own. So that's the discussion board. Excuse me. And then your reminder to post a reply. Writing territory number 7 has no mentor skill this week. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back and choose a skill from the first 6 weeks, something that you liked, something that you want to try again, something that you want to play with, and just highlight it and use it in your writing territory. So any of the skills you can use. You can use more than one if you want to, but you don't have to. You have 2 extra credit opportunities this week. I know I have to set up all these extra pages. The first one is a scenario. It's a case study. And so you kind of are thinking about how free speech connects to what is happening in this particular scenario. It's just kind of a good way to apply some of the theories that you were reading about in something that has happened in real life. Same thing, there's a second case study in your second extra credit opportunity here. This one took place at Yale on Halloween and kind of what happened. So again, you can kind of read this. There are videos of what took place. And then thinking about, okay, well, how does this connect to free speech and free speech in a college campus? And what does that mean? What does that look like? And how do the statutes kind of support what was happening here? And then that's it. Then you're at the end of the week. So again, it's a lot of reading this week because we're kind of jumping into the content about essay number 2 and free speech. We're going to be doing the same next week, a lot of content, and then we're going to shift towards the drafting stage. So you can kind of put your pens down or let your fingers rest a little bit because you're just working on discussion boards in your writing territory. Let me work on the essays. And again, like I said, just kind of abandon looking at your final draft because you'll see a bunch of my comments start to pop up there, but I don't want you to do anything with them yet. Okay. All right. I have conferences this week. If there's anything that you would like to talk about, and if I don't see you, then I hope that you'll have a good week. Again, October, hang in there. I'm rooting for you. And for those of you who are working on your college applications, I wear my Cal State, you can't see it, my Cal State East Bay shirt because I'm an alum of Cal State East Bay. Good luck with your applications and your tags and your TAPs and all of that. If there's anything I can do to help you, then please don't hesitate to let me know. Have a great week.